in the past few months. The joy of welcoming a new baby into the world can turn out to be a devastating sadness when the mother died during or after childbirth. To this effect, a project called Join Hands to Save a Baby was initiated by Ami Jaju, a Gambian citizen residing in the UK. She has been donating medical equipment to the country's health sector, and this time donated 5 blood refrigerators to the health ministry. The program manager of the National Blood Transfusion Services, Mariama Jambe, said the project was launched to support the blood transfusion services in the Gambia.
This project was launched to support the National Blood Transfusion Services of the Gambia to help reduce the challenges of blood inadequacy in our health facilities, and also to help women and children who need blood to get safe blood transfusion in a timely manner.
Madam Jambe said these refrigerators are specially meant for storage of blood and will be taken to key health centers across the country, including Basse and Brikama hospitals. Abdullah Jaju, a member of the project, said the project is making a great impact on the lives of many in the country since its inception.
The foundation has conducted several blood drives in support, with the support of technicians from the National Blood Transfusion Service for storage in various hospitals in the country. We believe that these refrigerators will be of great essence in the aforementioned fight. There is no doubt that the project is making significant impact on the many lives in this country. As this has been the mantra of Join Hands to Save a Baby, to impact positively on the lives of the less privileged, particularly women and children in the Gambia.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, reveals that maternal deaths are high in many countries, but the Gambia's maternal deaths has been the lowest in the African sub-region.
Maternal mortality is high in many developing countries. The loss of a single mother is sad enough, talk less of if it's more than one. But as a country, maternal mortality has been declining in the Gambia over the period, even though it is high, but it is going down. The Gambia's maternal mortality ratio is one of the lowest in the sub-region as we speak to you. But we say to ourselves, we don't want a single mother to die because of pregnancy. So we have to put all hands on deck, inshallah, to ensure that that happens.
Join Hands to Save a Baby project was initiated on the 24th of October 2020 by a UK-based Gambian, Ami Jaju. According to officials, the project has since inception spent over $1 million. Ami Jaju is said to have been donating medical items to the various health facilities across the country to help the government to fight against maternal deaths. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am DCC.
Sino Majilak Jolbak is a sand dragging company which is at the verge of selling sand to the Gambians. The company's headquarters is located at a place where the women cultivators used to conduct their farm activities at the Denton Bridge. According to Momodu Jamasware, a consultant at Sino Majilak, the company promised to support the women throughout their life, even though the land wasn't owned by them.
We were given a list of women. I think, if my memory is right, it's about 11 of them. With their support group, it would have been more than that. But initially, 11 women were using it as a rifle. The company promised them that although the area is being allocated to them by government, they are Muslims, they are Gambians, they are humble. If they can prevent the destruction of land, they are not for the animals there and the trees to suffer and to be destroyed. They will not do that to the women here also. So they will make sure these women also will not cry. And they told them, as far as we are going to be operating here, we will make sure you are never forgotten.
Denani Konta, one of the women who benefited from the company's support, prayed for the long lasting of the company.
The chat we had with you guys since in the beginning, we are never sad about it. The only thing we can do is to thank and pray for your company. May the company last forever, and whatever we are praying for it, may it be accepted by the grace of Allah.
Amar Jan, the CEO of Sino Majulak, said their motive is to make a difference in the society and people's lives.
It doesn't cost much, but that act makes a big difference. And for Sino Majulak Jalbak, our ultimate objective of operating or setting up in Gambia is to make a difference to society and to people's lives. So this is just one of many initiatives that are in the pipeline that we will be looking into going into the future. But for those women for now, this is the second year that we're compensating them to give them more than their harvest from what they used to have on a land that we were legally allocated for our project.
Sino Majulak Jalbak started this sand project 2 years ago to make sure that sand is being dug offshore and brought onshore for people to use it and not to destroy the environment. The ambition of the company is to stop people from crying over their land degradation due to sand mining. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Amindao.
Over 30 amendments were done to the Constitution at the time Joseph Henry Diouf served as Minister of Justice. Among them was the power given to the President to appoint traditional rulers. But to Joseph Diouf, the amendment on this part of the Constitution was not to make the President all too powerful, but to end perpetual rule by one family.
As far as I was concerned, was that in a democratic society, no family, no single family should monopolize power.
Everyone
is equal before the law and in terms of opportunities.
Section 99 of the Constitution was also amended to deny bail for people charged with treasonable offenses and murder. Joseph justifies it, saying it was done to stop the convicts from fleeing. However, Council Singate reminds him that this law has taken the rights of citizens to defend themselves in courts, as it is only the courts that have the discretion to determine the innocence or guilt of an individual and give bail to those charged for life imprisonment. Lawyer Diouf, however, disagrees.
Well, it just depends, because I think there was a time when the public felt that the conditions of bail granted to people who had committed very serious offenses were very lax or minimal. And it was not fair that this should be allowed to go on, especially in serious cases. So government had to step in and ensure that, some of these activities and crimes were not committed all the time. It was not rampant.
The former Attorney General and Minister of National Assembly Matters also touches on the provision that amended the 50+1 to simple majority, where the first person to pass the post becomes the winner, saying that system was better than the second round of voting. He argues that the system was not put in place to favor Jammeh, as it was evident in the 2016 election that he lost to the coalition. Joseph Henry Diouf, a Gambian lawyer, politician, and a writer, was born in 1960. He attended Kelly University from 1981 to 1985. He served as president of the Gambia Bar Association from 1998 to 2001, and later Attorney General and Minister of Justice of the Gambia from 2001 to 2003. For iAfrica TV, this is Omar Ahmadu Toure reporting.
The Gambia is expected to receive sufficient vaccines before the end of this year from the COVAX facility to ensure the vaccination of 20% of the population, approximately 480 people. However, the health authorities says over 21,000 people have so far taken the vaccination across the country. Mbenjai from the expanded program on immunization says the misinformation about the vaccine is still a challenge to get people vaccinated.
Misinformed, there are a lot of misinformation among people because population with the social media sending WhatsApp messages telling them the vaccine is not good and all those things, they are here to kill people and the like. Those were some of the messages that people have been talking about. And then we definitely, as we speak, we have caravan around going from community to community in all the regions, discussing with people. Yesterday I was just in the North Bank West, And we visited Fas Omar Saho and also Kir Mama to talk to people about the COVID-19 vaccination.
Mr. Njai says the security sector and other populated government institutions have taken their vaccines.
For the health workers, we are definitely reaching them. We've vaccinated so far up to about 80% of our health workers. Yet to receive, to add, get the final the final numbers. Our challenge is now how we get these other populations. But because the reason is that we do not have enough vaccines, so that's why we are not going out aggressively to the communities to vaccinate them. So because we only had 50,000 doses in the country, and then we're trying to be very, very cautious not to also give out all and the others will not have their second doses. So that's why we are definitely trying to be very cautious, but we'll ensure that once we have adequate vaccines in the country, we will go aggressively, just like a campaign mode sort of. Vaccination teams will be spread across all the country, in all the communities, visit all the communities, and then we vaccinate in the populations.
Vaccines are termed as a critical tool in the battle against COVID-19, and it is hugely encouraging to see so many vaccines prove successful and going into development. Working as quickly as they can, scientists from across the world are collaborating and innovating to bring tests, treatments, and vaccines that will collectively save lives and hopefully end the pandemic soon. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
The Truth Commission continues to hear testimonies from legal professionals that work with the AFPRC regime and are labeled as enablers to the military in drafting decrees that later violated rights of citizens under Jammeh. Today, former Acting Attorney General and Solicitor General Fatou Bensouda appears to give testimony on her role in the drafting of the decrees. Mrs. Bensouda says she opposed the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council's takeover but accepts taking part in the promulgation of military decrees in 1994.
He asked me about decrees.
Decrees.
Because he knew that in coups in Nigeria and Ghana, the decrees were what the military used to rule the countries. I responded that these were in the nature of laws, and we had a department, and he wanted to know how decrees could be made. I told him that there was a department in the ministry that drafted law. So by the time our meeting came to a close, he wanted the ministry to draft a decree that reflected the situation.
Mrs. Bensouda explains that the purpose of the decrees was to put in place a framework for the de facto existing situation after the 1994 coup.
I said yes, we could send him a draft.
Decree
which reflected the situation was a decree which a decree which establish the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council as announced.
What decree
was that? The executive. We subsequently drafted a decree which we sent and which became decree number 1.
Rules by decrees is a style of government used by military officers after a coup. Decree laws are used to suspend the constitution in most cases, which leads to violations of the rights of people. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Amindao.
The National Health Policy is drafted to promote and protect the health and well-being of Gambians through fair provision of health care for everyone. Following the draft of the document, senior management at the Ministry of Health converged to make recommendations on the areas that were not captured in the draft policy. Jibril Jaju, the Director of Planning and Information at the Ministry of Health, said the recommendations made during the review will be put into consideration.
We already have an expert team in policy development under my directorate, which I am leading. So, and we have a team already on the ground, which is a rapporteur team. So they are taking on board all the comments that all the contributions, that they are also making. Then from there now, we will now have a 2-day, 3 days internal meeting at the Directorate of Planning, where we will incorporate all the comments. Once they are incorporated, then we will circulate the final draft for people to look at and then invite them for validation meeting.
National Health Draft Policy came at a time when the Gambia is battling with the COVID-19 pandemic. The Permanent Secretary One at the Ministry of Health, Mohamed Lamin Jaita, said the pandemic is part of the challenges they encountered during the process, assuring that they will be addressed.
So the situational analysis identified all the challenges and achievements that we have made to date. And these challenges are now going to be looked into so that we formulate concrete strategies to address them, but also to come up with strategies that will make sure that the achievements made are sustained and further developed upon. So this is what we are doing here, and we believe by the end of the day, we will be able to come out with a final document that will be very ripe and apt for the final validation and implementation.
As the health policy of the Gambia expires 2020, there is a need for the health sector to have a new policy in place that will guide the program implementation and management of the health system for the next 10 years. The drafted document, if validated and adopted, will boost the country's health sector by providing quality, affordable and accessible health services for everyone. It is also expected to reduce the prevalence of non-communicable diseases as well as promote transparency in the healthcare system. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am DCC.
Since the regime change in 2016, journalists have been harassed in different occasions and some of them arrested. And the suspension of some radio stations in 2020 reminded journalists the dark days of Jammeh era. However, many people in the journalism profession feel safer and excited to practice the trade in the Barrow-led administration. According to the 2021 Press Freedom Index of Reporters Without Borders, Gambia has registered significant gains in advancing media freedoms. The France-led human rights watchdog said Gambia is ranked 85 out of 180 countries surveyed in 2021, a 2-point improvement from 87 in 2020. From the 55 African countries assessed, the Gambia is ranked 9 in West Africa and 10th in Sub-Saharan Africa. To the Gambia government, it is a remarkable achievement for a nation that for 2 decades trailed behind most countries. Demba Ali Jawo, the former Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, believes that there seems to be a little development but still room for improvement.
I think it is not very bad. At the moment, it is definitely not very bad because at least we know that getting information from the government is not a very easy thing. But, at least since the beginning of this regime, things have not turned out as nasty as they used to be during the former regime. So I think, it's a bit encouraging, but I think the government needs to do more. And and the best way they can go about that is to pass the access to information bill. In that case, if that bill is passed and it becomes law, then the journalists can be able to obtain the information from the authorities as they want. Because at the moment there is nothing compelling the authorities to give out any information to a journalist because there is no law in place for that.
The Vice President of the Gambia Union, Mohamed Exba, also acknowledged the gains the Gambia has registered, but quick to suggest that the draconian laws should be repealed.
However, we're looking forward for Gambia to be at least among the 5, at least first 5, if not the first countries that encourage press freedom. How will Gambia improve on that is to at least, change some of the draconian laws that are in some of the acts like the Information Act and also the Criminal Code.
The president of the Young Journalists Association, Yankuba Jallo, said not much is achieved when it comes to media freedom in the Gambia.
The government is talking about the pluralism of media houses, and that is an achievement. One can't argue on that line. But the most important thing as far as the operation of media is concerned is to have the laws in our favor. And this is why the government should prioritize the reforms. Since the change of regime, the government has not taken any serious step to change or reform any repressive media law. Still, we still have those laws here. The laws that they are claiming that reform were the laws that the Gambia Press Union battled at the Supreme Court and succeeded. So the Supreme Court decided some of them as unconstitutional. So it does not mean like it is their doing, but it is the court's doing.
Press freedom is a prerequisite for the establishment of a functioning democratic system of government and governmental human rights. It is viewed by many as a fundamental necessity for democratic governance. Thus, governments are expected to permit the press, and particularly the private ones, to function responsibly without undue obstruction. Press freedom is not only an indispensable pillar of democracy, but it is also important for the long-term sustainability of social and economic development. For iAfrica News, Binta Jallow.
People could be seen gathering around bodies and preparing them for cremation as workers in protective equipment continue to bring more corpses wrapped in shirts at one cremation ground in the southeast of the city. A few relatives of deceased people gathered around the bodies to pray as the pyre is burned.
Today, my brother died due to COVID-19. I admitted him to Fortis Escort Hospital for treatment and brought his body here from the hospital for final rites. I would like to thank the hospital officials for giving excellent treatment to my brother, and they have helped us a lot.
India broke the world record for the highest daily tally of new coronavirus infections last week, with the country struggling to provide medical assistance to patients amid lack of ventilators and hospital beds.
A lot of work is being done here, and the workers are working tirelessly with dedication. Even during the pandemic, these people are working for their services. How many times you thank, it is still not enough.
Since the beginning of the pandemic, the country has registered more than 17 million infections, according to data compiled by Johns Hopkins University. The country set a new daily record on Monday with more than 300,000 cases of the virus confirmed within a 24-hour period. The unprecedented time is continuously causing havoc around the globe, and it is currently posing great challenge in India. For African News, Sohna Tunkara.
The healthcare workers called on government to deliver or face the consequences in the form of a nationwide sit-down strike. Their demands include the provision of personal protective equipment as well as an increase in their allowance, which they argued has been stagnant for decades. The decision of the association sparked debates among Gambians, including students of the University of the Gambia, most of who give merit to the demands of the healthcare workers.
And this is really heart-touching. It's heartbreaking. It's a shame that the government of this country is not considering our nurses, because the most important sector that the government should prioritize is the health sector. We cannot talk about democracy or development or any other advancement without our people being healthy. If our people are not healthy, we cannot do anything. We cannot go forward. So the nurses, what they are complaining, I really support it. Imagine gloves, mere gloves. Government officials are riding very expensive vehicles, but the gloves that the nurses need in the hospitals to take care of our people are not available. Injections, imagine a nurse using an injection on 2-3 people, putting many other people at risk.
For Kadikomba Saidi, even though the decision of healthcare workers will cause potential havoc on the health sector, their demands are good for the public as it means better resources and logistics for patients.
To me, it's going to cause a lot of havoc on our health sector, even though, on my own opinion, it is a good thing for them to do, because I think they deserve better than what they are getting. They are not just demanding for allowances and salaries, but they are also demanding for better resources, better logistics in their health sectors, which are not available to them.
The vice president of the UTG Students' Union, Fatou Bensouda, said the primary duty of every nation should be to invest right in the health system as it determines the success of a nation.
So if the first contact point, which is the health system, is in a dilapidated state, I think it should be a cause for concern, and it should be a national cause for concern. And then we hope that the authorities have had the claims that have been made by the health personnel and would also look into taking up actions that would curb the situation.
Alhaji Silla, the vice president of the UTG Nursing Association, who is part of the demanding party, emphasized the seriousness in their demands. He argued that the Ministry of Health has not been taking matters of this nature seriously.
We respect our patients. Patient care is our priority. So we've been advocating for that, and we will still advocate for that. But this has been a long overdue. So these are basic things that needs to be solved. We've seen recently doctors and then PhD holders, there has been increment in their allowances. So, and then our own was tabled earlier before theirs. So then almost 3 to 4 months back, we've tabled these things. So they do not even listen to those pledges, and then they went on to increase those ones. So that means there is selective when it comes to the healthcare sector. They've been selective.
The healthcare system of the Gambia is faced with so many challenges, ranging from infrastructural development, technological advancement, healthcare equipment, as well as financial challenges. These challenges are time to time blamed on the prevalence of corruption and lack of foresight from the leadership of the ministry. One thing is certain, the sector continued underdeveloped as a share in the toll of disaster from the preventable complications such as maternal mortality. The Gambia has, since the change in government in 2017, a lot of threats from civil servants, mostly due to poor working conditions aggravated by low salary scales and allowances. The healthcare givers have been on the limelight several times, but not to the extent of a deadly result from withdrawal of their labor. This time, however, it is a matter of time to tell whether all health facilities will be abandoned to the patients alone. For iAfrica TV News, I am Binta Fati.
Globally, 1 in 4 children under the age of 5 has no nationality anywhere in the world today due to lack of birth registration or proof of nationality. The United Nations Children Emergency Fund ascribed the reasons for this to the lack of resources and investments in accurate and comprehensive civil registration systems, coupled with barriers in accessing birth registration services along with policies, regulatory and institutional obstacles. The National Assembly of the Gambia recently amended the Bill on Birth, Marriage and Death, giving parents and guardians a 30-day birth registration deadline or be liable to a fine. Samba Balde, a child protection specialist at UNICEF, explains the importance of registering the birth of a child, noting that there is more to be done to prevent the situation of statelessness.
Birth registration provides the first legal recognition of the child and is the first right in the Convention for the Rights of Children. It enables a child to receive medical treatment, go to school, inherit property, and find legal work. It also facilitates protection from child labor, arrestation, treatment as adult in the justice system, forcible conscription in armed forces, child marriage, trafficking, and sexual exploitation. There is still a lot to do ensure that all children in the Gambia obtain their right to birth registration, and we are lagging behind in our objective to reach 100% of birth registration in 2030.
Lamin B. Fati, a registrar of births and deaths, says UNICEF's intervention led to the creation of outlets where people can get birth certificates without having to travel all the way to the main referral hospital in Banjul.
Because of this, the UNICEF program supporting the Ministry of Health to ensure that our decentralization and integration of birth registration processing into reproductive and child health services. That led to the creation of the Ministry of Health to create 73 registration centers and 252 outlets where registration can be held and certificate will be issued at the regional level instead of people traveling all the way from Bolibana to Banjul for a certificate.
The support from UNICEF includes desktop computers, server machines, laptops, tablets and printers meant to facilitate the work of public health officials in registration of births and deaths in the country. Data from the Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey of 2018 shows a slow increase of 5.8% in the number of births registered from 2010 to 2018. While the figures look bad, 78 out of every 100 mothers and caregivers know how to register their children. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
Although the Gambia's national poverty rate rose slightly with 0.5 percentage point between 2010 and 2016, the number of people living in poverty went up to 0.79 million in 2010 to 0.94 million in 2016. The number of people living in poverty went up at varying portions in both urban and rural areas. Honorable Halifa Sallah, Secretary General of People's Democratic Organization for Independence and Socialism, said the Gambia will not be free from ignorance and poverty until system change and transformative agenda take center stage.
The debt burden of this country is $77.4 billion, meaning that even the newly born child carries a debt burden of $38,000. A newly born Gambian child carries the burden of $38,000. How are we going to solve that problem? We are saying that we'll create a cooperative bank out of the sovereign wealth of the land that will be able to purchase the fishing trawlers, that will plow our waters and ensure that we put more wealth in our coffers and earn more foreign exchange.
Speaking at a press conference on Tuesday, Halifa questioned why Gambia spent $4 million in rice importation when the country has arable land for cultivation.
Import substitution. We have indicated very clearly that we spend $4 billion in terms of importation of rice, when we have all the land to be able to cultivate, lacking only the resources to be able to do that. When we have money in our coffers, which we can send back to the farming community and give them the fertilizer, the seeds and farming implements they need, and produce abundant rice, and therefore leave $4 billion in our hands rather than leaving the country in terms of foreign exchange. That is what you call import substitution.
He added that in the tourism sector, almost 300,000 tourists are capable of coming to the Gambia. Honorable Sallah, who is also a parliamentarian for Serekunda, said they will engage cooperative banks to sponsor activities that open ways for marketing their products and link to the strategy of promoting tourism in the country.
They will say 280 something, but 3,000 tourists realistically could be mobilized to come to the Gambia. We are saying that we will have a program where each tourist, before you leave your land, will tell you about the poverty of our people. Those people who are going to go there to sell the country will not only be selling sand, beach, and sun. They will be selling humanity. They will be telling those people what they can add to our country that is of value. That at least if they spend even $100 or euro, that goes to our people. How? We'll get our people to start making cloth, to start making pottery, to start making all those things that constitute our national heritage.
To him, development is about knowledge and science, not imitation. It is about study and not ready-made. The top politician said they will look at the potential the country has and craft their policies on the basis of what is scientifically possible to enable them achieve their goals. For iAfrica News, I am Fatima.
Legal practitioners during the former President Jammeh continued to give testimonies before the TRRC on Jammeh's creation of laws that were not in line with the Constitution, as well as their interference in the judicial system. Investigations from the TRRC had that Jammeh did use laws that were not in line with the Constitution to prosecute civil servants under the directives of Madam Singate. Appearing before the Truth Commission, Mama Fatima Singate, who served as the Attorney General and Minister of Justice during Jammeh's government, says she was never aware of any laws prosecuting anyone during her service.
First, the laws that we use at the Attorney General's chambers are enacted by law.
Ci njëlbeen nag loi yi nga xam ne moom lañ daan jëfoo ci bunti loi bi ci doon ministre yu saytu wàllu loi ak àtte ci réew mi li ko wéraloon nag mooy loi.
I don't have any evidence of any law that is used to persecute anybody.
amuma nag benn loi boo xam ne ni nag muy firnde boo xam ne ni dëppoo naa loi yi nga xam ne moom lañ doon jël pour àtte ko nit.
There's a rationale and a reasoning for any law that is enacted.
dana dee am nag dalil boo xam ne ni mooy tax ci benn loi boo xam ne ni dal dinañ ko samp.
So I cannot go into the details between the rationale behind any law. Usually those are provided in the objects and reasons of the bill that is presented by whoever is going to move that bill before Parliament.
Mënuma dem na xóot nag ci lan mooy dalil yi benn ci loi yooyu noonu waaye nag loolu mu ngi aju rek ci ñi nga xam ne ñoo doon kañtu nag bill boobu noonu pour naka lañ koy taxawale mu nekk loi.
And when it comes to the making and enactment of laws,
bu ñëwee nag ci ni ñooy defaree ak ni ñuy taxawale loi,
Parliament or the National Assembly is responsible for that.
Despite the fact that the President has no mandate to give directives to the Ministry of Justice, the Office of the President under the Jammeh regime in several circumstances is alleged to have given executive directives to the matters of prosecution. During the tenure of Mama Fatima Singate, several violations of human rights, including illegal arrest and detention of citizens and politicians, occurred. The witness, however, refuted the allegations, saying everything she did during her service was in line with law.
Yes, it was normal. It was normal. Perhaps your own perception is abnormal, but the way I saw it during my time there, what is within my knowledge, it was a normal system done in accordance to law.
doxil mi de jaadu woon na xëy na yow sa gis-gisi bopp mooy nekk daal jaaduwutoon waaye nag man suma gis-gis mooy liggéey bi mu ngi doon dox ci anam gu wér ak ni nga xamee dëppoo na ak yoon.
The ministry was within my control.
Ministry bi si suma roon la nekkoon.
And I can tell you that everything I did that was within my control was done according to law.
dinaa la wax nag lépp loo xam ne def naa ko loo xam ne ci suma roon la nekkoon dama ko def ci anam goo xam ne dëppoo na ak yoon.
I have no control over what anybody else does.
aw ma dara loo xam ne nii def naa ko ci lépp loo xam ne nit war na koo def.
I have control over what I do.
li ma saytu rek mooy ci li nga xam ne loolu laa daan def.
And what I do is always in accordance with law.
Mama Fatima Singate is a Gambian lawyer who served as a judge in the High Court and the Court of Appeal between 2009 to 2013. She served as Minister of Justice and the Attorney General between August 2013 to 2014 and again from January 2015 to 2017. Madam Singate is currently serving as the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the sale and the sexual exploitation of children. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham. The main role of the Gambia Police Force is to maintain law and order in local communities by protecting people and their property, preventing crime, and improving the quality of life for all citizens. Senior officials and their partners gathered to brainstorm about issues ranging from how to better serve the communities to rule of law, governing the police force, amongst others. Key among issues discussed is the relationship between the police and the society they serve. The Deputy Inspector General of Police, Mamadou Sow, underscored the importance of the seminar.
The rationale for today's consultative seminar is to create and maintain an operational harmony between the Gambia Police and its esteemed stakeholders, to focus on new strategic directions, whereby eliminating unnecessary duplications and improve coordination, collaborations towards achieving our common goals. The importance of today's gathering cannot be overemphasized, as it creates a platform from our esteemed stakeholders to register their valuable concerns and contributions into the said strategic document for a better comprehensive, effective coordination as well as to enable them align their activities with the said blueprint to ensure local ownership on their development intervention supports.
Chief Superintendent of Police Fatou Bensouda says technology is key in their work as heinous crimes are being committed by criminals using technology.
Another model that we wanted to adopt is technology-based policing. We'll all agree with me that technology is everywhere. And in fact, criminals are using technology to commit highly sophisticated cross-border crimes, highly sophisticated domestic crimes. So police as an institution cannot do away with technology. We have to use technology to boost our operations. We have to use technology to implement our constitutional mandate in a more effective and more efficient manner, because police can't be everywhere. And since we can't be everywhere, that means that now we have to use technology to be able to monitor crime, prevent crime, and then try to also boost our investigation capabilities and capacity to be able to apprehend and curb crime.
Aside from technology, Chief Superintendent Fofana adds that proactive policing led by intelligence is another aspect that helps police in tackling certain issues.
The days of firefighting policing are over. The days of reactive policing are over. But we are going to have proactive policing that's going to be intelligence-led. And therefore, we give more preference to capacity building in intelligence, gathering, analysis, processing, so as to inform police operations. We believe that there are many other incidents that we can be able to tackle if intelligence is actually working for us extremely well.
According to the new strategy, no part of the society will be left behind, as they believe that every member of the society can help the police in executing their duties. The police are the first body people approach in case of any crime-related issues. They also register first-hand information reports and are responsible for the maintenance of public order and peace. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
Scenarios of hideous killings allegedly by the exiled former president have been daily stories, particularly with the public hearings from the commission established to investigate Jammeh's involvement in the crimes. Human rights lawyer, who is also known as Dictator Hunter, renewed commitment to help victims of human rights violations to hold Jammeh accountable.
Yahya Jammeh will not be brought to justice because some lawyer from America wants him brought to justice. He's going to be brought to justice because people like Baba Haidara, Aisha Jammeh, Nana Joe Ndow show that they deserve justice for what Yahya Jammeh did to their fathers. I get called the Dictator Hunter, and I'm privileged to work with victims and activists and to develop the tools and the political and legal conditions to help them seek justice.
With the ongoing revelations from victims, a lot of atrocities that were perpetrated during the Jammeh regime are potential substances to try the former president. Reed Brody is holding high expectation that the TRRC will recommend accordingly for justice to be ushered to victims.
Well, we're certainly expecting that the TRRC will recommend reparations for the victims, will recommend institutional reforms, and will recommend that those who are responsible for the worst crimes of the Jammeh period be brought to justice. And then it will be up to the government to implement those recommendations.
Amidst roaring fears that recommendations from the Truth Commission might go in vain, just like the situation with the Jammeh Commission report that unearthed Jammeh's financial dealings, Brody is of the view that victims and the civil society will remain awake in putting government under pressure for implementation.
Well, I think what I've seen here during this mission is that civil society, the victims, the activists, Tango, are not going to let the government ignore the recommendations of the Truth Commission, that civil society plans to own those recommendations and to hold government's feet to the fire. There's an election coming up in the Gambia, and I know that they plan to make sure that all of the candidates and all of the parties pledge to implement the Truth Commission's recommendations, but that the government start immediately, that the government does not wait 6 months to issue a white paper, that the government get ahead of everybody and show that it has the willingness to implement. I mean, as Nana Cham said before the TRRC, the victim's fear every day is that all of this work is going to come to naught. And I see with victims and I see with NGOs here that that they want to see implementation. That is going to be one of the big issues after the TRRC reports.
According to the dictator hunter, it is now a question of political will, as the TRRC has now developed evidence linking Yahya Jammeh directly to the murder of Deida Haidara, the killings of West African migrants, and a fake HIV and AIDS treatment program. As to what might happen if the TRRC recommends the prosecution of Jammeh in the Gambia, Brody argued that instability could grow because of the strong involvement of Jammeh supporters in different administrative positions. For African News, Sohna Tunkara.
Migration plays a significant role in Gambian society as overseas remittances from nearly 118,000 Gambians living abroad account for over 20% of the country's gross domestic product. Despite its important role, migration is punctuated with negative impact on the lives of many who embark on the irregular routes known as the back way in search of greener pastures. These are among the complexities that the Migration Media Network project aims to counter with the support of ROG agency in the Gambia. The implementation stage is expected to stimulate rigorous information sharing with the public on both the positive and negative sides of migration. Dembo Kambi, the coordinator of Migrant Media Network in the Gambia, highlights the importance of the project.
People are moving out of this country in search for greener pasture because they don't have access to information. Information in the sense that we are most of the time moved by the photos on social media like WhatsApps and the Facebook of our friends who have gone through the back way. But the route that they have taken to get to Italy or Germany and the condition that they are living in Germany or Italy, in other countries, probably they will not expose some of those conditions. Some of them are in very critical conditions. Some of us are in very, very, very horrible conditions. But I'm trying to give them information, correct information about migration. That's what the project intends to do. And they will make a decision as to whether to go or not to go. Because if I don't get information, probably I might be enticed by photos of my friends or pictures of my friends that I normally see on Facebook and other places and said, okay, I'm also going. Or you think somebody will come and say, Europe is this, you find money in the street and take it and bring it home and do whatever you want to do. That is not what is in Europe.
Shabelle Bloch, a member of the German consulate in the Gambia, expressed her feelings on the project known as MMN.
What I like about this project is that it engages young people in the dialogue and gives them, amongst other things, the tools necessary to see past the lies of the smugglers. However, I cannot explain it better than the project coordinators already did. I would like to thank the Gambian stakeholders, ROC Agency, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and the participants for embracing this project. I am especially happy to see that the diaspora is also involved in this project. Germany continues to stay engaged in the Gambia in many different ways and with many different partners, and this is also a very important issue for us.
Usman Fati, the chairman of National Youth Council, pledged the council's support to the MMN participants.
So the participants, my advice would be, please take the training seriously. Please take this training seriously, because you are trained to go out there and disseminate the knowledge that is gained. So please take the advice So take this training seriously so that you will gain accurate knowledge that will benefit the young people out there. So the eyes of the young people are on you. So the success stories should start from you. This is a pilot project. So let's take this training seriously so that we succeed. And I believe you have the capacity, you have the know-how, you have the technical, you have everything. Because NYC is ready to give you the full support that is needed. Our doors are open. Anytime, anywhere. There is nothing like working hours for us, NYC. We work 24/7. Migration Media Network Project officially launched.
According to the organization, it was indicated through a survey that the regions of West Coast, North Bank, Lower River and Upper River of the Gambia are hit by irregular migration and that the project will put its focus on those areas. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Amindao.
Former Attorney General Fatima says the tax commission established in 2011 was meant to stop people from engaging in corrupt practices and evading tax. But Deputy Lead Counsel Hadidande Jabi tells her that the said commission was set up by Yajambe to specifically target legal practitioners and private business entities. She asked lawyer Singate to give information on the number of lawyers that face the tax commission, and this is her response.
Again, I cannot talk about the workings of the commission and the reasoning behind the commission.
Mënuma wax nag li nga xam ne mooy liggéey doxalini liggéey commission boobu ak li nga xam ne moo doon waruga li taxoon mu am.
Because not only are you creating a precedent,
nekku rek ne sa da ngaa nekk di xale nag luy jëm ci kaw.
It's not right.
Nekku nag loo xam ne ni jaadu na.
Once the Commission of Inquiry completed its work,
gannaaw boo xamee ne ni jeexal nañ seen mandat ak seen liggéey.
Its mandate had expired.
Mandat am jeex na.
There's no law that says that anybody should ask any commissioner or chairperson about the content of the report and require an explanation about the content of the report.
Madam Singate says it is dangerous to talk about the commission that has already been concluded. She said if the commission wants to know anything about their work, it has to read the report of the tax commission. The tax commission was completed in March 2012, and 1 year later, in August 2013, Madam Singate was appointed Minister of Justice. Hadidande Jabi again asked her about the implementation of the tax commission report, and this is what she has to say.
When you became minister, you now took over responsibility of all the files in the ministry.
I became responsible for all the files in the ministry, but I expressly requested and instructed the Solicitor General to take over all tax commission files.
Dal di woon naa jël file yëpp nag ci ron ministre waaye nag dal di woon naa xeeñtu li nga xam ne mu ngi jëm ci wàlli taxawaay Solicitor General bi lu jëm ci wàlli tax file boobu.
Because I felt that it was a conflict of interest and I did not want to deal with the tax commission anymore.
Miss Mama Fatima Singate is a Gambian lawyer, judge and politician. She holds a master's degree in international business law from the University of Hull. She served as judge first in High Court and then at the Court of Appeal of the Gambia between 2009 and 2013. She subsequently served as Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Gambia from 2013 to 2014 and again from 2015 to 2017. She currently serves as the United Nations Special Rapporteur on sale and sexual exploitation of children. For iAfrica TV, this is Omar Ahmadu Toure reporting.
A couple of months back, India had started to get back to normal and that people were convinced that the deadly coronavirus had left the country. While some claim Indians had great immunity, others mock Western countries for not being able to contain something as small as coronavirus. As Indians fight the second wave of the pandemic, support continues to pour in India from around the globe. Golden Sack has pledged an additional $10 million commitment to support relief and recovery efforts in India. However, Chitra Ravand, a patient relative, described the treatment given to his father inside the hospital as a substandard service.
I admitted my father yesterday to this hospital. He is in ward number 2B in bed number 29. Whenever I speak to him, he is saying he is not given any treatment, but only given oxygen. We have no idea what his oxygen levels are because there is no screen, no oximeter. Gradually, his breathing level also increased. Not so how he will survive like this.
He went on to say that All he needed was for his father to get medication, without which there was no need to the hospital.
All I ask is even if he don't get any help, he needs treatment because they are not giving him an injection and he hasn't got any medicine. But then the patient's condition is deteriorating and he is having a problem in breathing. If he doesn't get any medicine, how will he get better?
The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare issued a statement indicating that the government of India was taking all necessary steps to ensure that they are prepared to face the challenge and the threat posed by the growing pandemic of COVID-19. The statement said the most important factor in preventing the spread of the virus locally was to empower citizens with the right information and taking precautions as per the advisories being issued by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Another patient's relative, Satyapal Singh, accused the government for lack of compassion and the inability to support anyone at all.
Today, I want to say with sadness, inside Delhi, there are young children of the people are dying. Father of someone, mother of someone, the sister of someone, the brother of someone dying like this. These government have failed in all places. We have been looking for hospital for the last 4 days. There is no bed available. There is no oxygen available in any hospital in Delhi. Today, we are carrying the body of the children who got married 1 year and 2 months ago. This government has no compassion. It is not able to support anyone at all. There's no place inside any hospital. My request to all with folded hands is to stay inside their homes and to keep their children and their families healthy and safe inside their homes.
India looks like a war zone where people are losing their lives to the enemy. Things could have been different had the enemy's potential not been underestimated. On Thursday, daily infection hit a new high of 379,459 in India, with hospitals full despite the shortage of oxygen supplies. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the country has registered more than 18 million confirmed cases of coronavirus and more than 204,000 deaths with COVID-19, according to data compiled by Johns Hopkins University. For iAfrica News, I am Fatima Kasim.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put in to constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury.